Now, my next guest, Noa Tishby, is an Israeli actor, writer, producer and activist who's appeared in a variety of Hollywood productions like The Affair, Nip Tuck, Ghosts of Girlfriends Past, CSI Miami and NCIS. She's also produced the HBO series In Treatment. She authored a book, Israel, A Simple Guide to the Most Misunderstood Country on Earth. And she was the first special envoy for combating anti-Semitism and delegitimization of Israel. And Noa Tishby joins me live now. Noa Tishby, welcome to the program. I hope you're enjoying being back in Sydney.
I'm loving it. I'm always open and always thrilled to come back to Sydney. It's one of my favorite cities in the world.
It is very beautiful. Now, look, someone said something to me just recently that really struck me about anti-Semitism, really resonated. They said that the swastika is a sign of anti-Semitism on the hard right, but that anti-Semitism on the hard left is often disguised as being anti-Israel, as denying Israel's right to exist. Do you think there's some truth to this?
I think it's absolutely true, and I think what's sad to me personally is that it's very easy to call out anti-Semitism on the right for people on the left. So it's very easy to look at some politicians in the US say, to the extent of the Jews are responsible with their lasers to the fires in California. And it's very easy to look at that and say, oh, that's anti-Semitic, which obviously it is. But it's a little bit more difficult to look at the far left and hear stuff like Israel is just like Hamas and call that out for what it is, anti-Semitism. So my role is to wake people up and understand that anti-Semitism comes in various ways. It comes from the far right, it comes from the far left, and it comes from radical Islam. And we have to be able to call all of them out absolutely equally. The one on the left is slightly more hidden. It's slightly more hidden because it's anti-Israel's sentiment, because it's denying the world's single Jewish state's right to exist. It's harder for people to actually understand that this is anti-Semitism, but it is. It's anti-Semitism 2.0.
Look, we're seeing quite a strong anti-Israel movement around the world emerging, especially in governments and in the media. I'm not sure if you followed it, but our government in Australia, the Anthony Albanese government, recently, just a couple of weeks ago, hardened its position on Israel. Why do you think governments are developing this unhealthy obsession with the only democracy in the Middle East?
Unfortunately, I think governments are ailed with similar diseases that a lot of other people have right now, which is governance by Twitter. So what's happening is that the sentiment around the world, around polite society, became kind of obsessed with Israel in a disproportionate way. So the vilification of Israel, the demonization of Israel became somewhat of a trend. Right? And I think governments, they just follow. Because if you're an actual responsible lawmaker, you know that Israel is the single best ally of the United States and Australia and Western values in the world. And you will defend the Jewish state. If you are a person that loves democracy, freedom of speech, human rights, women's rights, LGBTQ plus, any kind of rights that we hold dear, then Israel is your cause within the Middle East. And sadly, a lot of politicians, they kind of listen to far fringes and they adopt these views, and it's heartbreaking. This is severely damaging the single consistent democracy in the Middle East, and we need to be very careful with that trend.
Why do you think we are seeing a rise of anti-Semitism around the world?
This is such a great question. Why do we see a rise in anti-Semitism around the world? The answer is because it never went away. And that is the sad answer. You see, anti-Semitism is the oldest form of hate and discrimination that is still being practiced today. When you know history, and Jewish history, and history of the world, really, you see that you can track anti-Semitism back as long as Jews have been around. You know, I wrote in my book about this particular historian. His name is Josephus Flavius, and he wrote a book in 74 AD, right, called The Antiquity of the Jews. And he wrote that book in order to fight pagan anti-Semitism in 74 AD. So anti-Semitism, this suspicion and this conspiracy theory around Jews has been around for so many years. What's happening right now, it's just being resurrected. But for us as the Jewish community, we look at this and we can identify this as old tropes that are being rehashed. This is something that we've seen before, we've heard this before, and we're not going to stand down. So we're going to keep fighting, and we're going to keep being loud and proud Jewish community and make sure that the world doesn't fall back into dark times of humanity where anti-Semitism was acceptable.
No, I hear you and I agree with you, and I do my part here on Sky News. But look, you are a very successful Hollywood actress and writer and producer. Have you come up against these sort of racist, anti-Semitic attitudes at all in Hollywood? I mean, we've seen just recently Kanye West, now known as Ye, he's been allowed back on Twitter by Elon Musk. I think we firmly support free speech, but no one should support giving a platform to hate speech. We've also seen, Bradley Cooper adopting a Jew nose for a movie. So what do you think about Hollywood on this whole issue, and maybe any of your personal experiences?
Well, first of all, I think that sadly, Kanye West is proving that anti-Semitism is a mental disease, because there's no other way to explain his entire behavior. Anti-Semitism is just included in this crazy behavior. Sadly, we're seeing whether blatant anti-Semitism like Kanye West or hidden anti-Semitism like other people criticizing Israel, we see this a lot. And we see this a lot in Hollywood as well. I gotta tell you, in terms of the Bradley Cooper situation, here's my take on this. And what we're, just for your viewers, if they don't know, Bradley Cooper was cast as a Jewish composer called Leonard Bernstein, and he, in order to play this character, was wearing a prosthetic nose, and a lot of people got very offended by it. My position is this. I don't necessarily think that this woke, puritanic attitude of only Latins can play Latins, only gay people can play gay people, only transgender can play transgender. I don't subscribe to that. It's called acting, and people can be able to act various types of characters and ethnicities. However, when it comes to the Jewish community, people seem to be a lot more lax and relaxed about this. So all I say, I don't have a problem with Bradley Cooper per se playing a Jewish character, but I just say that if you have this test for every other ethnicity, just apply it for the Jews as well. All we want is equality. So either we drop it altogether and then drop it for the Jews as well, or adopt it for us too. Just equal rights, I would say.
Yeah. Not such important messages. Noa Tishby, so great to have you on the program, and enjoy the rest of your time in Australia. You're here for the charity JNF. Thank you so much for the conversation.
Great to be here.